Dr. Kenzo Nakamura stared at his coffee mug, wondering if the dark liquid inside had somehow gained sentience and was plotting his demise. After 36 hours of staring at scrolling data streams at the Deep Space Monitoring Station, everything seemed potentially alive and definitely suspicious. "Dave, remind me again why I agreed to the graveyard shift," he mumbled, pushing his glasses up his nose for the 1,000th time that night. The AI's response came through the speakers with its usual mix of British butler propriety and millennial snark. "Because, Dr. Nakamura, you said, and I quote, 'Nothing interesting ever happens during night shift, so I can work on my novel about spacefaring squirrels in peace.'" That was rhetorical, Dave. "Oh, I know, but your reaction to my literal interpretations provides me with approximately 3.7 seconds of entertainment each time." Kenzo snorted and reached for his coffee, only to freeze mid-motion as an alert flashed across his primary screen. The coffee mug dropped from his suddenly limp fingers, shattering on the floor. "Dave, are you seeing this?" "If you're referring to the coffee stain that will definitely violate laboratory cleanliness protocols, then yes. If you're referring to the signal pattern that just lit up our deep space array like a Christmas tree, having an existential crisis, also yes." Kenzo's fingers flew across the holographic keyboard, pulling up multiple analysis windows. "This can't be right, the signal structure. It's too perfect." "Define too perfect," Dave prompted, his usual sarcasm replaced by genuine curiosity. "Look at these intervals, the precision. This isn't random space noise or even a pulsar. This is engineered. This is—" Kenzo swallowed hard. "This is a message. A message that somehow managed to reach us through our most sensitive deep space monitoring equipment, specifically designed to detect signals that might indicate intelligent life," Dave mused. "How inconvenient. There goes your quiet night of anthropomorphic rodent fiction writing." Kenzo ignored the jab, his eyes scanning the incoming data. "The signal's getting stronger. Whatever this is, it's not a random broadcast. It's targeted. At us. At Earth. Should I prepare your humanity's first contact speech? I took the liberty of drafting one last year. It has significantly fewer references to squirrels than your usual work." "Dave, this is serious." But Kenzo couldn't help the slight twitch of his lips. Even in what might be the most important moment in human history, his AI companion couldn't help being, well, Dave. "I am being serious. I'm also calculating the probability that this signal is actually a very elaborate prank by the day shift team. Current probability, 12.3%. Dropping rapidly as new data comes in. The signal continued to strengthen, its pattern becoming clearer with each passing moment." Kenzo's excitement warred with a growing sense of unease. Something about the message structure seemed almost urgent, alarmed. "Dave, start waking up the rest of the team and get me a secure line to the director." "Already done, although I should warn you, Director Chen's mood rating drops by approximately 47% when awakened before 6 a.m. Would you like me to prepare a soothing playlist for the call?" "Not now, Dave." Kenzo's eyes remained fixed on the screens as more data poured in. "Something tells me we're about to have much bigger problems than an angry director." As if in response to his words, the signal surged and new patterns began emerging in the data stream, patterns that made Kenzo's blood run cold. "Oh my," Dave commented, his artificial voice unusually subdued. "That's not good at all, is it?" Kenzo could only shake his head as he stared at the preliminary translation matrix. "No, Dave. No, it's not. 3 hours, 5 emergency meetings, and enough coffee to drown a small whale later. The Deep Space Monitoring Station's main lab had transformed into what Dave helpfully termed organized chaos with a side of nervous breakdown." Dr. Nakamura stood at the center of the storm, surrounded by holographic displays showing various aspects of the signal analysis. His usually neat appearance had devolved into what could kindly be described as mad scientist chic, complete with wildly disheveled hair and a coffee-stained lab coat. "The encryption is unlike anything we've ever seen," announced Dr. Raj Patel, the team's cryptography expert, who had arrived wearing mismatched shoes in his haste. "It's like someone took every encryption method we know, mixed them in a blender, and then had a quantum computer play Jenga with the results." "Thank you for that thoroughly scientific description," Dave chimed in. "Shall we add 'played in a blender' to our official report?" "The point is," Raj continued, shooting a glare at the nearest speaker, "we shouldn't be able to crack this, not with our current technology, but But the signal is decoding itself, Kenzo finished, rubbing his temples. It's like it wants to be read. More like it needs to be read, Dr. Maria Torres, their xenolinguistics specialist, interjected. She'd been quiet for the past hour, her face growing increasingly pale as the translations began flowing in. This isn't just a message, it's a warning. Multiple warnings, actually, from different species. Dave's avatar, a simple blue sphere, pulsed thoughtfully on the main screen. Current count stands at 7 distinct alien civilizations contributing to this signal. All of them seem rather insistent about something, and by rather insistent, I mean they're practically screaming in 12-dimensional space-time. Show them, Maria commanded softly. The main display filled with streams of decoded text, each message different in structure and style, but all carrying the same underlying theme. Containment protocols failed. Species human. Threat level existential. Status universe's final mistake. Well, Dave commented into the stunned silence, I suppose this explains why we never got invited to any of the cool galactic parties. Look at these coordinates, Raj pointed, his hand trembling slightly. They're not just random locations. They're everywhere. Hundreds of civilizations, all around us. All watching. Watching and hiding, Kenzo muttered, scanning through the data. The signal contains records, historical data. They've been monitoring us for centuries, coordinating some kind of containment effort. Maria nodded, her fingers dancing across her tablet. According to these translations, they tried everything. Subtle manipulation of our development, redirecting asteroids to miss Earth, even attempting to make our sun slightly less stable to slow our progress. Attempting to destabilize our sun, Dave sounded almost impressed. That seems a tad excessive for a species that still can't agree on whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It gets better, Maria continued, her voice taking on a slightly hysterical edge. They list our crimes against the natural order of the universe. Apparently, we're the only species that deliberately consume substances known to be toxic for entertainment purposes, intentionally jumps from high places with primitive fabric devices for amusement, and willingly keeps apex predators in their homes while speaking to them as if they were infant members of their own species. In our defense, Dave offered, cats are very convincing when they want to be. Kenzo was about to respond when a new alert blared through the lab. The signal had shifted, revealing a new layer of data. As the team watched, a series of complex mathematical equations began scrolling across the screens. Oh, Dave said, his usual snark completely gone. Oh my, those aren't just coordinates. That's a map. A real-time map of every advanced civilization in our galactic neighborhood. And they're moving. Moving where? Raj asked, though from his expression he already knew the answer. Away from us, Kenzo answered grimly. As fast as they possibly can. A moment of heavy silence fell over the lab, broken only by the gentle hum of equipment and the continuing stream of data across the screens. You know, Dave finally offered, I believe this might be slightly more interesting than your Space Squirrel novel. The emergency global conference looked like what would happen if you combined a UN meeting with a chaotic family video call during the holidays. World leaders appeared in various states of dress and awareness, depending on which time zone had been rudely awakened for this unprecedented gathering. If the President of France could please unmute himself, Dave announced with barely concealed amusement, and perhaps remove the cat filter? Though I must say, the whiskers do complement your tie. Kenzo stood before his camera, trying to maintain his composure as he presented the findings to the most powerful people on Earth. The American president was clearly pretending to be awake while clutching what had to be their 5th cup of coffee. The British Prime Minister had apparently decided that pants were optional for virtual meetings. As you can see from the data, Kenzo continued, sharing his screen, multiple alien civilizations consider us the galactic equivalent of that neighbor. Nobody wants to invite to the Homeowners Association meetings, but can't figure out how to evict. Dr. Nakamura, the Chinese premier, interrupted. Perhaps we could maintain a more serious tone. Breaking news, screamed the Indian Prime Minister's microphone at painful volume. Sorry, wrong window. Please continue. Dave helpfully adjusted the audio levels while adding, I've taken the liberty of creating a drinking game based on how many times someone accidentally mutes themselves. Current record holder, Germany, at 7 times. The German Chancellor's screen briefly lit up with a rude gesture before going dark again. The point is, Kenzo pressed on, we're facing a situation where advanced alien civilizations are literally fleeing our section of space. They've abandoned containment protocols that have apparently been in place since humans first figured out how to make pointy sticks. And what exactly are we supposed to do about this? Asked the Brazilian president, who had given up all pretense and was eating breakfast on camera. Send them a strongly worded letter? Actually, Dr. Torres cut in, we should probably respond somehow. They're watching us receive this message. Our reaction could be crucial. I vote we rickroll them, muttered someone who quickly pretended their microphone was malfunctioning. The Russian president's connection chose that moment to freeze in what Dave described as an expression that will haunt my digital dreams. What we need, the Australian Prime Minister began before being interrupted by what sounded like 1,000 birds attacking their microphone. Bloody cockatoos! Get off the satellite dish! Kenzo watched in mounting despair as the meeting devolved into crosstalk, technical issues, and what appeared to be an impromptu debate about whether humanity should apologize for existing or send a message asserting their right to be the universe's chaos agents. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave suddenly announced, his voice cutting through the chaos, while you've been discussing whether to apologize to the universe, I've detected new movement in the signal. The civilizations aren't just fleeing anymore, they're gathering. That got everyone's attention. Gathering where? Asked the Japanese Prime Minister, speaking for the first time. Based on these coordinates, Dave paused for what Kenzo knew was purely dramatic effect. Approximately 2 light-years from Pluto, I believe they're setting up what humans would call a parent-teacher conference. And we're the problem child. Silence fell over the virtual meeting. Then the Canadian Prime Minister's cat walked across their keyboard, accidentally sharing a screen full of cat meme tabs. Well, said the UN Secretary-General, pinching the bridge of their nose, at least we're consistently living up to their expectations of us. Should I prepare a response? Dave asked. I have several options ranging from dignified denial to chaos monkey throws diplomatic banana. Kenzo looked at the grid of faces on his screen, each showing various degrees of concern, determination, and in at least 3 cases, possible indigestion. Actually, he said slowly, I think I might have an idea. As the world leaders argued about appropriate response protocols, Dr. Torres burst into the lab, waving her tablet like she was trying to swat an invisible mosquito. You need to see this. The translation matrix just finished processing the deep archives of the signal. Please tell me it's not another list of our crimes against universal common sense, Kenzo groaned, but he was already pulling up the data on his screens. Dave's avatar spun rapidly as it processed the incoming information. Oh, this is rich. Did you know we're classified under evolutionary mistakes that somehow worked? We're filed right between creatures that developed intelligence before common sense and species that really should have gone extinct, but refused to. The data streamed across their screens, revealing the full extent of alien civilization's bafflement with humanity. Their containment attempts read like a comedy of errors. Attempt 1387 introduced multiple highly venomous species to their habitat. Result: humans classified them as danger noodles and attempted to keep them as companions. Attempt 2451 engineered their primary food crops to be less caloric. Result: humans created something called competitive eating and turned it into entertainment. Attempt 3592 subtle manipulation of their global climate to discourage outdoor activities. Result: humans invented extreme sports and began deliberately seeking out the worst weather conditions for fun. Dr. Patel choked on his energy drink. They tried to make our food less appetizing, and we turned it into a sport. That's actually kind of impressive. Keep reading, Dr. Torres urged, her eyes wide. The list of human traits that terrify them is even better. Dave helpfully highlighted the relevant section. Alarming human behaviors. Deliberately consume capsaicin for pleasure despite clear pain response. Seek out activities that trigger release of adrenaline and cortisol. Form emotional bonds with cleaning devices and name them. Repeatedly attempt to interact with clearly dangerous wildlife. Create elaborate stories about non-existent scenarios and become emotionally invested in them. Respond to apex predators with expressions of affection and baby talk. intentionally deprive themselves of sleep to engage in recreational activities. Attach googly eyes to inanimate objects. Wait, Kenzo interrupted. They're scared of us because we name our robot vacuums. To be fair, Dave responded, I've seen what you named yours, and Dusty McSuckface is somewhat concerning. More data continued to pour in, revealing increasingly bizarre misunderstandings of human behavior. The aliens had apparently spent centuries documenting human anomalies with growing horror. Observation 8675. Humans intentionally jump out of perfectly functional flying vehicles for recreation. Observation 9309. Humans respond to signs warning of danger by attempting to take self-portraits with the dangerous thing. Observation 10247. Humans have developed multiple varieties of cheese despite being fully aware of what cheese actually is. Observation 11892. Humans deliberately watch entertainment designed to trigger fear responses for entertainment. Observation 12456. Humans attach small bells to ambush predators to make their approach audible, then express disappointment when the predator avoids them. Dr. Torres collapsed into her chair, laughing hysterically. They think we're insane. They've been watching us for centuries, and they genuinely can't comprehend why we do anything we do. To be perfectly honest, Dave interjected, I've been watching humans for my entire existence and I still don't understand half of what you do. Just yesterday, Dr. Nakamura spent 20 minutes trying to stack paper clips while waiting for a program to run. The best part, Dr. Patel said, scrolling through more data, is their genuine confusion about our response to their containment attempts. Every time they tried to make our lives harder, we either found a way to enjoy it or turned it into a challenge. Kenzo stared at the screens, a slow grin spreading across his face. They're not really afraid of us because we're dangerous. They're afraid of us because we're unpredictable. Everything they tried to use against us, we embraced. Every obstacle they put in our way, we turned into an opportunity. Like the time you reprogrammed the coffee machine to play death metal every time it finished brewing, Dave asked innocently. Exactly, wait, that was you. I know, I was demonstrating your point about adaptation and embracing chaos. The lab fell silent as they continued reading through the vast archive of alien observations and failed containment attempts. Each new revelation painted a clearer picture. Humanity hadn't just survived despite the universe's attempts to contain them, they had thrived because of them. You know what this means, right? Dr. Torres asked, her eyes gleaming with mischief. That we're the universe's equivalent of that one kid in class who doesn't follow any of the rules, but somehow gets better grades than everyone else, Dr. Patel suggested. No, Kenzo replied, his grin turning slightly maniacal. It means we know exactly how to respond to their message. The emergency global conference reconvened with considerably more focus and significantly fewer cat filters. Dr. Nakamura stood before his camera, outlining his proposed response strategy to the assembled world leaders. Let me get this straight, the German Chancellor said, having finally mastered their mute button. Your suggestion is to essentially troll the entire galactic community? More like introduce them to the concept of malicious compliance, Kenzo replied, adjusting his glasses with a glint in his eye that made several world leaders shift uncomfortably in their seats. Dr. Nakamura, Dave interrupted, shall I share the draft response we've prepared? The main screen filled with what could only be described as the diplomatic equivalent of a teenager's whatever, combined with a PhD thesis in chaos theory. The assembled leaders stared in varying degrees of horror and delight. Now, you want to respond to their warning about us being the universe's final mistake by sending them? The British Prime Minister squinted at their screen, a PowerPoint presentation titled, Why Thank You, We Try Our Best, with animated sparkle effects. The sparkles are essential to the psychological impact, Dave assured them. I spent 0.3 seconds choosing the perfect level of obnoxiousness. Kenzo cleared his throat. The presentation begins with a comprehensive list of all their containment attempts, followed by detailed explanations of how we turned each one into a new hobby, sport, or TikTok challenge. My favorite slide, Dr. Torres chimed in, is the one where we thank them for the venomous snakes, because they helped us develop reality TV shows about professional snake wranglers. The Australian Prime Minister could be heard muttering, bloody right, mate. But the real masterstroke, Kenzo continued, pulling up the next section, is the invitation. Invitation, several leaders asked simultaneously. Yes, we're inviting them to what we're calling the first Galactic Cultural Exchange Festival, complete with demonstrations of all our most terrifying behaviors, live-streamed across their communication networks. Dave's avatar sparkled with barely contained glee. I've prepared a schedule of events including competitive hot pepper eating, extreme ironing championships, and a demonstration of how humans can befriend literally anything with eyes. The grand finale is a compilation of humans doing what we do best, surviving things we really shouldn't survive while filming it for social media. We're also sending them our entire collection of cat videos, Dr. Patel added. All of them, with commentary. The UN Secretary-General pinched the bridge of their nose. And this is supposed to help how, exactly? Because, Kenzo explained, his expression serious despite the manic glint still present in his eyes. They need to understand that what they see as bugs in our programming, we see as features. They tried to contain us because they don't understand us, so let's help them understand. By traumatizing them with our weirdness, the French president asked. By showing them that what they call chaos, we call Tuesday, Kenzo corrected. The signal carries one clear message. They're terrified of us because we don't make sense to them, so let's lean into it. Hard. Dave displayed the final slide of their presentation, which simply read, P.S. We named our cleaning robots after ancient warriors and we regret nothing. The technical package accompanying our response includes everything from cat memes to extreme sports compilations, Dr. Torres explained. We're also sending them our entire collection of Hold My Beer videos, carefully curated by Dave. 3.7 seconds very well spent, Dave confirmed. The Chinese premier raised an eyebrow. And you believe this will prevent them from taking hostile action? On the contrary, Kenzo grinned, I believe this will make them realize that taking hostile action against humans is like trying to herd cats, while the cats are live streaming the attempt and turning it into a challenge video. Besides, Dave added, I included a small note mentioning that humans tend to respond to threats by becoming even more chaotic and unpredictable, usually while shouting YOLO and attempting something statistically inadvisable. The assembled leaders exchanged looks. Some were trying not to laugh. Others appeared to be questioning their life choices. A few were already nodding in approval. You know, the Canadian Prime Minister mused, this might be crazy enough to work. That's humanity's specialty, Kenzo replied. Now who wants to help us compile a list of things humans do for fun that will make alien civilizations question their understanding of risk assessment? The next hour devolved into what could only be described as a global brainstorming session of humanity's most chaotic achievements. World leaders began enthusiastically sharing examples from their own countries, each trying to outdo the others in demonstrating their citizens' capacity for controlled chaos. Dave kept a running tally on screen. Cheese rolling competition, UK, 10 chaos points. Bull running, Spain, 15 chaos points. Volcano boarding, Nicaragua, 20 chaos points. Wife carrying championship, Finland, 12 chaos points. Annual running of the Bulls record attempt selfies, chaos points, overflow error. I believe, Dave announced as the list grew, we're about to redefine the term diplomatic incident for the entire galaxy. Kenzo looked at his screens, where the alien signal continued to pulse with its warning about humanity being the universe's final mistake. Let's show them just how right they are, but not in the way they think. The response was formatted, the presentation was polished to maximum chaotic professionalism, and humanity prepared to introduce themselves to the galaxy in the most human way possible, by turning a warning about their chaotic nature into an invitation to party. The response took exactly 47 minutes to reach the gathered alien civilizations. Dave counted down the seconds until their first reactions would arrive, entertaining the anxious humans by calculating the probability of various outcomes ranging from immediate galactic war to confused acceptance of party invitation. When the reply came, it wasn't what anyone expected. The alien signal changed frequency and suddenly every screen in the lab filled with what appeared to be the galactic equivalent of a massive group chat having a collective meltdown. Are they laughing? Dr. Torres asked, staring at the incoming translations. Dave's avatar started spinning in what could only be described as hysterical circles. Oh, this is perfect, absolutely perfect. They're not just laughing, they're arguing about who misunderstood whom first. The translations began flowing across the screens. Civilization Alpha. Wait, you mean they're like this on purpose? Civilization Beta. Who classified them as a mistake? They're clearly operating exactly as intended. Civilization Gamma. But the containment protocols, Civilization Delta, were clearly interpreted as entertainment suggestions. This is what happens when you don't read the species manual properly. Species manual, Kenzo muttered, adjusting his glasses to make sure he was reading correctly. A new data packet arrived and Dave's avatar briefly turned bright pink with what appeared to be second-hand embarrassment. Oh my, it seems there's been a slight clerical error for the past few thousand years. Define slight, Dr. Patel demanded, the main screen filled with what appeared to be an ancient galactic classification document. At the top, in what Dave translated as extremely formal bureaucratic alien script, was a heading, Species Designation, Human. Classification, Universe's Final Masterpiece. Note, Extreme Caution, Experimental Design Incorporating Chaos as Feature, not Bug. Masterpiece, Dr. Torres whispered. Not mistake. Apparently, Dave explained, his voice trembling with suppressed laughter, someone misspelled masterpiece in the original document a few thousand years ago. It got transcribed as mistake and nobody bothered to double-check because, well, have you seen humans? The alien transmissions continued to pour in now with an entirely different tone. Civilization Epsilon, who was supposed to be monitoring their development. Civilization Zeta. Don't look at me. I thought Theta was handling it. Civilization Theta. I delegated it to Beta after the incident with the pyramids. The pyramids were an incident, Kenzo wondered aloud. Focus, please, Dave chided. We're currently witnessing what appears to be every advanced civilization in our galactic neighborhood, realizing they've spent millennia trying to contain a species that was specifically designed to be uncontainable. The next transmission came through with what Dave described as the alien equivalent of someone typing in all caps while crying. Collective Galactic Council. Humans were supposed to be the control group for chaos-powered evolution. The experiment was to see if cognitive development could thrive on chaos, energy instead of standard logic patterns. Who filed them under mistakes instead of ongoing experiments? A moment of silence fell over the lab as this information sank in. So, Dr. Patel said slowly, we're not the universe's mistake. We're its weird science experiment. One that worked better than expected, Dave added cheerfully. Apparently you were supposed to either go extinct or achieve enlightenment through chaos. Instead, you did both simultaneously and turned it into a social media challenge. The alien transmissions had devolved into what appeared to be an interstellar argument about proper documentation procedures and the importance of proofreading ancient texts. Should we tell them we already sent the party invitation? Dr. Torres asked. Oh, they've noticed, Dave assured them. Current galactic reaction appears to be split between panic over accepting the invitation and excited planning of what to bring to the party. Several civilizations are already designing protective gear for the cheese rolling competition. Kenzo stared at the screens, watching as thousands of years of misunderstanding unraveled in real time. So all this time, they weren't running from us because we were dangerous. They were running because they thought they'd broken their creator's favorite science project, Dave finished. And now they've realized you're working exactly as intended, just with more YouTube channels than originally planned. The lab erupted in laughter as the alien transmissions continued to cascade across their screens, now including what appeared to be RSVPs to their cultural exchange festival, and numerous requests for clarification about the rules of extreme ironing. 6 months after the greatest clerical error in galactic history was discovered, Dr. Kenzo Nakamura sat in his lab, watching the live feed from humanity's first official galactic cultural exchange festival. The event was being broadcast across 17,000 civilizations, with an estimated viewing audience of several trillion beings. Dave, please tell me you're recording the anti-gravity puppy petting zoo segment, he said, trying not to laugh as he watched an 8-tentacled alien desperately trying to take a selfie with an overexcited golden retriever. Recording, broadcasting, and adding appropriate background music. May I suggest, Who Let the Dogs Out for the highlight reel? The festival had exceeded everyone's expectations. Alien civilizations had arrived in droves, equal parts terrified and fascinated by human culture. The hot pepper eating contest had to be cancelled after several diplomatic incidents involving beings whose species hadn't evolved tear ducts. But the competitive cheese tasting was an unexpected hit. Latest update from the Galactic Council, Dave announced. Humanity has been officially reclassified as successfully evolved chaos surfers, and our status has been upgraded from "oh no, what are they doing now?" to "actually, they might be onto something." A new message flashed across Kenzo's screen marked as priority communication from the Galactic Scientific Committee. Formal request for human consultation on experimental evolution projects. Note, please advise on optimal chaos integration techniques. P.S. What is this parkour, and why do we feel simultaneously terrified and intrigued? Should I send them the compilation video of humans doing unnecessarily complicated jumps between perfectly good walking surfaces? Dave asked innocently. Add the cat parkour videos too, Kenzo grinned, for scientific comparison. The lab's main screen suddenly lit up with an incoming transmission from what Dave had dubbed the Anxiety Alliance, the group of civilizations that had originally tried to contain humanity. Dr. Nakamura, the alien representative, began, their translation matrix struggling to convey both formality and embarrassment simultaneously. We wish to extend our deepest apologies for the millennia-long misunderstanding. As a gesture of goodwill, we would like to share our advanced technology with humanity. That's very kind, Kenzo replied diplomatically. What did you have in mind? We thought perhaps your species would appreciate our faster-than-light travel technology. Dave's avatar made a sound suspiciously like a snort. You mean the ones our engineers reversed-engineered last week, while trying to figure out how to make their coffee machines work faster? They what? The alien's translator glitched in shock. Oh yes, Kenzo smiled serenely. We're calling it the caffeine drive. It runs on spite and energy drinks. The alien transmission ended abruptly, replaced by what appeared to be an emergency conference call between several species discussing the implications of humans having access to FTL technology powered by caffeinated beverages. You know, Dave mused, I don't think they're running away from us anymore. I think they're running to catch up. Kenzo leaned back in his chair, watching the festival feeds where humans were teaching aliens how to make s'mores while explaining the concept of dad jokes. Should we tell them about our plans for intergalactic extreme sports? Let's wait until after they recover from learning about human music festivals. Baby steps. The screens continued to fill with images of humanity's first steps into the galactic community, each one more chaotic and joyful than the last. Somewhere out there in an ancient alien archive, a single misspelled word had changed the course of human history. Hey Dave, Kenzo said softly. Do you think we really were a mistake? Dave's avatar pulsed gently. Doctor, in all my calculations, I've never seen a mistake work out quite this perfectly. And somewhere in the depths of space, the universe itself seemed to laugh, as its final masterpiece continued to spread chaos, joy, and cat videos across the galaxy.